board members on the screen too. Looking forward to getting to them. Little celebration today, Brando.
Indeed,
Are you ready for your celebration?
I am. Yes, I have a coffee coming.
You have a champagne? Are you drinking champagne for lunch today, or
had a champagne lunch? Not really.
How about
I am going through a little bit of a dryish January.
Ooh, nice. I like it.
I don't know how long that will last. I'm not getting crazy about it or anything, but
hook that quick.
I'm not going to fall off too quickly. I can promise you that. So, welcome everybody. I hope everybody had a great holiday. You're ready to get back at it. We're certainly ready to get back at it. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk with you about today. Got all the advisory board on, got even a handful of people beyond the advisory board on. So let's get started by looking at some numbers. I think the numbers that we're going to look at to kick things off are a little old, but very important nonetheless. As you know, some people took some time off over the holidays here at the home office, so we'll have more numbers to share, probably a 2-weeker next week. But I think this is, Spivey, correct me if I'm wrong, the week to date, 12/23. So we're going back in time a little bit, like Huey Lewis. The number one writer 2 weeks ago was Paul Stanley. Not sure what Ace Frehley was doing, but Paul Stanley, congratulations with $10,000 in premium. The number one producer was the Deuce, Jake Van Dusen, $24,865. That's not too shabby for the week leading up to Christmas. Congratulations also, because Casey, I don't know about you, but I got text after text of people celebrating record weeks, both the week leading into Christmas and the week following Christmas, which made for record months. So for those of you that took advantage of, I don't know what you'd be taking advantage of, there was a little downtime. You filled it with production. Congratulations.
That's right.
Jake also had the top app count for the week with 18. Top MedSup writer was Nicholas Michelli, $6,500 on 3 apps. Way to go. Top DI writer for the week was Cindy Sawyer with just shy of $4,200. Top IUL producer for the week was Violet Poulter, almost $15,000. Look at all these over $10,000 producers in a week, though. Way to go. Top annuity producers, the DJ was in there. Michael Warday was in there. But Paul Stanley, 1.7 million, just shy of it in annuity volume. That could change things. Once that sucker gets approved. Way to go, Paul. Top DFL producers, you see them here. Everett Allen is number one, though, $30,000 in production. Somebody's very happy. They're going to be getting out of debt. They're going to be building an nest egg, and you are serving them and helping them do it. So way to go. 3-way tie for the top base shop new writers, Carlton Lear, Edward Pritchett, George and Janet Matthews, all with 4. And another 3-way tie. I don't know if this has ever really been done before. Okay, see, but the top directs would be Danny, Edward, George, and Janet Matthews, all with 7.
Very nice.
Leading from the front, I like to see it. Top SNAs for the week on the base was Aaron McLean. There were 5 directs, which we won't name them all here, with 2 SNAs. Top season new agents for the final week, or the week of 12/23, was Jones, Roca, Wolf, Hanson, Nelson, Barker, Denise, Gaines, Jeter, Kohler, Patterson, Castro, Sanchez, Johnson, McClendon, Newberry, Pace, and Wright. Way to go, season new agents.
Very nice. It's very nice.
Welcome aboard. Top key leader was Gabrielle and Ike Manello with almost $32,000 in premium. Ooh, thank you. Charity Kruger with 5 recruits, and also Charity with 2 new writers. Way to go, new writers. Excuse me, key leaders. Top agency owner was Papa Pritchett with $52,000, almost 53. Gabby and Fred Roethlisberger with 9 recruits, and DJ Debt Free with 5 new writers. Larry and Ann Griffin is the top agency directors for the week, also in recruiting with 17. Ben Safepor with 7 new writers. Eileen Balmer was the top regional agency director. Beth Maddox is the top recruiter, and Eileen had the most new writers with 7. Way to go. Wildman John Ziller, another one of those I think that had a record. Also Griff Martin, I think, had a record. What's crazy I was looking at a text I got from Griff, and I want to say, Griff broke out as a direct Spivey. How many months ago would you say? 6?
No, I think it's been
Is it longer than
3
that?
or 4.
Only 3 or 4?
Mm-hmm.
The month of December, I want to say Griff shot me a text, did over $600,000 in premium.
Hello.
That's how quickly it can happen. It didn't take John Ziller out this week, though. Way to go, Chris Cook, with 28 recruits and 6 new writers for Griff. Way to go, guys. Top senior vice president was the Godfather, Tony Capistrano. Mike and Sarah Pappas had 17 recruits, and George and Janet had 7 new writers. Scott Mank with $140,000 as the top executive vice president. Sean Shannon with 15 recruits, and Scott Mank with 6 new writers. He is the tank. Ooh.
Come
Ooh.
on, Ryan and Michelle.
Look at this, would you? Would you just look at it? $488,925 for the Millers, 28 recruits for Lynn Watkins, and 20 new writers. Way to go, Ryan and Michelle.
So good.
So good. Danny Young with 416,026 recruits and 16 writers. Marshall Whalen is the champion of the managing partners with 1.07 gigawatts.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall Whalen with 68 recruits and 33 recruits for the turkey, not the leg. John Ziller is the top direct with 144,000. Chris Cook is the top recruiter. And Danny Young, Edward Pritchett, and George and Janet Matthews are all tied for 7 777s, man.
Right.
What you want to see? John Ziller not only is the top direct, just going backwards here, also the top base shop. That's leading from the front if I've ever seen it, $61,000. Newbauer with 8 recruits, and Carlton Lear, Edward Pritchett, and George and Janet Matthews all with 4 new writers in their base shops. So here we go. The moment, well, almost the moment we've all been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
This will tell you where we are as of the 23rd. Keep in mind, there is a sure-up period here, true-up, if you will, because we want to see not just those that can throw it against the wall. We want to see those that can make it stick. And so here we go. With 1 week remaining in the contest on a submit basis, Misty Cintron edging out Sean Hogue by $1,000, 1,300-ish.
Ooh, it got close there at the end.
It's still close. It ain't over yet. And that's why I always like to say, like, keep working, get that business issued, get it staying on the books. We're doing everything we can here at the home office with our conservation teams. But at the end of the day, it's all about net place numbers. And I believe there's a 90-day period that we're going to take a look at, right?
That Champions Division, Brandon, is a 90-day look back period to check out the net place production. And remember, all of the directs that are helping sponsor this amazing contest, it's a 70% net place percentage to make sure that your point totals remain the same. So it's not over.
Yep.
It ain't over till it's over. Jacob Pogue thinks it's over on that directs division, though. And it might be. James Satterfield with 220,000 in the base. Doesn't make it over quite yet. Misty Cintron with $223,000 in the AO category. So there we go. There are our standings. We've got more standings to come. Stay tuned to next week. A couple of quick announcements here. An onboarding improvement has been made to allow you to name the hiring manager regardless of contract level spread. This allows your new agents to immediately establish a reporting hierarchy for the slingshot shot bonus, and total agency volume. This means your new agents recruiting or receiving instant credit for the recruits they bring on. All apps submitted to the carrier require entry in opt for documentation and must be submitted into opt the same day the application is received by the carrier. This includes when a carrier declines the application.
Nice.
What do you think about that?
Good one.
I think you nailed it.
It was an important announcement. Who needs more leads? Raise your hand. Give us a virtual hand raising. You can increase your lead flow by adding the following states to your lead orders today, mostly on the call-in side. RESMA will be fired up to hear that Michigan is on the list. Missouri, Massachusetts. Anybody out there say Missouri? Let me know in the chat. There's generally like a age line, Spivey, we found that if you say Missouri, you're at least, I think that line keeps moving, but is it 60 now? 60 years old? 60
I think it
years old?
was 61 and a half.
61 and a half to say Missouri. Massachusetts, Virginia, there's another one that some people like to pronounce. North Carolina, right here in your own backyard, Casey. It's time to get in the field, man.
All right. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Good.
Kentucky, Bama, Illinois, New Hampshire, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. Get your lead orders in today. Don't wait. We have a couple of upcoming events. Forster's on Fund Your Dreams with Forster's, which is tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern. And then our FIF Reset and Advanced Markets team will be getting together every Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Not only sometimes Mr. Resma jumps in, but also Jeff Sigworth and Nathan Burks. It's going to be a good one. And Todd, what have you got on deck for the Todd Talk, first Todd Talk of the year?
Man, this was a good one. Excited about this one. Chief Leadership Development Officer on the call with us today, Mr. Brian Williamson. We're talking so much about the academies that his team has worked so diligently on. Pam, Rummy, others. Don't want to start mentioning names because I definitely will miss out. But guys, we're going to be real intentional in 2023 and making sure that we're looking at the most significant promotion opportunities and the way that we're organizing ourselves and growing our businesses, being prepared to make sure that we have the proper skill sets for our journey to a 130 level contract these days.
Well done. Nice promo, Todd. Mm-hmm. I need next time to hear a little more radio voice, though. The Ripple model, roadmap for creating wholehearted culture. Whitney and I are going to be on. This is tomorrow.
Yeah, Brandon.
1 o'clock Eastern.
It's going to be a good one.
I think it's my first ever Instagram Live. Is that what it's called?
IG Live. All right.
IG Live.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need some help getting it set up. But once I'm set up, man, I'm ready to roll. I can't wait. Let's start with Ripple. And then next week, you're going to follow up with Meredith.
So
I'm
ready.
2 IG Lives. It's
live. Coming at you live to kick the year off, buddy.
We've been fortunate to see some of this workings behind the scenes for years, probably on the Ripple program, guys. This is going to be absolutely game changing. Really appreciative for all the effort that's gone into this. You guys are going to love this and being able to implement this throughout your agency. But Casey, I got to know. I know Brandon. I've known him for a pretty long time. You know Brandon extremely well. What is he thinking right now?
In this picture?
Let's
put a caption on this.
That's a good one.
Give us some ideas in the chat what you think's going through Brandon's mind in that photo right there.
I think he's thinking about Birdie in that picture because I think she was behind the camera. I remember this picture, Brandon. You remember this?
She's probably making me very proud, right?
You're proud of your dog.
I was very proud of my dog. That's the moment. It could have been, I was wondering, is it fashionable to wear 2 shirts with buttons?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
It's called layering, Brandon.
I wasn't sure. I was layering there. Okay. Thought I saw that somewhere. Maybe my wife helped me.
That's a TikTok you got subconsciously implanted into your brain.
It's likely.
Yep.
It's likely. There's a lot of chat going on. I'm not sure. Well,
why does Alabama suck so hard? That was the first thing I saw. That's not very nice.
I like tacos.
That could be, yeah.
That actually probably was it.
That could be maybe it was a Tuesday. You know, I knew that we had tacos coming.
That's good. He's thinking Roll Tide for sure.
I'm always thinking Roll Tide.
I like it.
Boom, a little quick. I jumped the gun there. Let's mute out for a second because I think we have a video to show.
Oh, nice.
Then we'll get into the fun stuff.
Get ready for it. Our word of the year this year is process. With the right processes in place that are fueled by a strong goal and a relentless drive and work ethic, you can crush it with us. If Symmetry got us to the moon, but our desire is to get to Mars, we're going to need some different rockets on this thing.
We know that to become a household name, we've got to expand both our client base and our agent base.
Should I get life insurance? Yes, 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 absolutely.
Summit is designed to accelerate results by providing you what you need to learn when you need to learn it.
By investing into the tech side of things and using that to reinforce the quality of the lead and making it as beneficial as possible for the agent, that is just the holy grail that Quility is really solving.
Because of Switchboard, it basically made the lead warm again, booked an appointment, and wrote a policy.
Switchboard booked an appointment into my calendar while I was sleeping one night.
This is the future. Everything is moving at lightning speed.
It's given us so much flexibility.
Now we're literally texting people from the app.
The way our agency is going to leverage MyQuility is actually twofold.
Not just a tool to help families, but also in a recruiting standpoint.
Airline tickets, I'm using it for hotels, for rental cars.
We're transforming distribution by utilizing what we call our B2B and our B2C channels. Moving forward, you'll be able to recruit anybody from anywhere in the industry.
You need harmony in your life. You need to spend time with the people that give you energy and matter to you. You got to have purpose in your work, and then you've got to have financial goals and progress towards them to have harmony in your overall existence.
What we're teaching is we're teaching how to go to the next 2 or 3 or 4 levels above where you're at right now, even if you're brand new.
You guys have a positive company. They're investing in experts. They're helping you every step of the way. That is not normal.
For the Buffalo Spirit Award this year, please help us honor the lives and the memories of Coach Terry Garvey, Jimmy Spilldinner, and Matt Smith.
When you run away from storms, guess what happens? You stay in it longer. Buffaloes charge into it.
What about you, Jeff? What's one reason why agents should do an FIF reset?
Provides more value to the client. Doing an FIF allows us to provide as much value as possible.
You click the button to schedule the appointment and then set it and forget it. Just enjoy that passive income as it comes in.
$1 trillion! You heard it here, DFL, $1 trillion.
Thank you guys so much for showing up. It's going to make a huge impact on a lot of families. So.
It's a great way to start the Ripple.
The Ripple model is a roadmap for creating wholehearted culture.
We believe in creating a place within this company where people can show up and be their authentic selves.
Most people are out there having to lower their dreams to match their income. Symmetry will let you increase your income to match your dreams. That's a big deal.
To be able to be present and know that you're at peace with what you're doing and you're truly happy, it's just the most rewarding thing.
Watching Quility be formed and grow into what it's becoming, which is unbelievable, it gives me peace that we can make it through anything as a company.
We are at a massive tipping point in this company. We truly believe this, and this is that flick of the domino. Get ready for it.
Yes, yes.
What a year.
Good job, video
stand up
department.
Yes.
Capturing the spirit and the feel of this past year.
Yes.
In video form.
Very good job.
Yeah. Really cool.
We're going to get into some of those favorite moments, I think, here in a little while, but we're so excited to have everybody kind of pulled together to celebrate not only what we've accomplished, because we kind of did a State of the Union at the end of last year, so we don't need to kind of recap all those things, but really, I think this call is more about just celebrating what all of you guys accomplished on the year, and I think where we're going for 2023. And I said this at the end of last year too, that I know I kind of speak for both of us, Casey. We've never been more excited as a company about some of the things that are getting ready to pop and that we've accomplished. It feels like the last 2 years have been about innovation and kind of building that that base layer to kind of build upon that will allow us to all scale and grow. And there's certainly more of that to come and much more work to do. But I think we're really excited about just getting back to the basics a little bit. And we're going to share, as we always do, what the word of the year is going to be. I kind of let it slip earlier by showing the slide, but a close second to our word of the year was simplify. Because, and I, not to jump ahead and get into what we're going to get into here in just a little while, but I think there's so much gratitude that we have because we understand just how challenging of a year that it was. So, but before we kind of get into that, I think it's important to talk about what the word of the year is and why it is the word of the year. Because in order for us to scale, in order for us to grow and to get, to take advantage of the base that everyone has been putting into, we have to see massive engagement, different levels of engagement than we've ever seen. I think there is a tendency it's just a human tendency to kind of let off the gas a little bit if you get to where you think that you want it to be, rather than continuing to redefine where it is that you want to go or the type of person that you want to become. When life gets a little easier because your finances get a little better, doesn't mean that everything gets better. It just means it's one, as Forrest Gump says, one less thing to worry about, right? And so it's easy to maybe allow engagement or your level of engagement to look a little different, right? And we're excited working with the advisory board, hearing from a lot of directs about how many people are so fired up about just where they currently are because they know it's the platform for where they're really about to go. And that's why I think it's the perfect word of the year. Having one's attention, mind, and or energy focused on a particular task or goal. What do you think about that, buddy?
Love it. Love that definition. And I love what you're saying too. And I love how we're going to be kicking it off as well.
I do too. This was, I got to give all the credit to B-Dubs on this one, on an advisory board call the other day. We've actually had this book before, so not all the credit to B-Dubs since we had this before, but.
Actually, you've got to give the credit to Cicely.
That's what I was going to say, Cicely.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good. The first one, yeah.
Yes. Right. What do you know about this book, B?
What I know about this book, The Power of Full Engagement, is one of the most powerful, practical, and life-changing books that you can read. We use this in Summit in the Accelerate phase to describe the 4 kinds of energy. The principles in this book about how we are rhythmic beings and how, in order to fully engage, we need to disengage, and how energy really is the most important thing to manage, not time, right? We manage our priorities, energy, and distractions. That's when I talk about what can we really manage. We manage our priorities, we manage our energy, and we manage distractions. You can't manage time. It just keeps slipping into the future, whoever sang that song. So this book is transformational. Was so glad when Cicely recommended it, and I think we're going to get an amazing kickoff. I love one quote I'll give you today. He says, "Energy, not time, is the fundamental currency of high performance." So, excellent book.
Yes, and to help us kick it off,
indeed.
There we go.
How about the author?
I believe you get the credit for. Ayers and Cicely get the credit for introducing us to the book initially. So really excited about this one. Talk to me, Brian. What are we excited about, man?
Man, to get Dr. Jim Loehr, who is arguably the leading human performance psychologist on the planet, whose groundbreaking research in the areas of energy management have just shaped so many. He's the founder of the Human Performance Institute, which was acquired by Johnson & Johnson. He has worked and coached 17 #1 athletes, including Novak Djokovic and Boom Boom Mancini. He's worked with a bunch of golfers, and he was a big tennis guy, has worked with a lot of tennis players. Just an incredible mind and very, very wise. And so we're really pumped that he received the invitation to come lead the call. I mean, to really kick off the year with the word engage, with arguably one of the leading experts on what does it look like to be engaged. I mean, I'm trying not to fanboy out too hard. I know Cicely and others of you on this call that have already benefited from the book, which y'all need to get it, Powerful Engagement. Do not miss that builder's call. In fact, just that's another all hands, 12:30 Eastern next week. Be sure to be on. You're going to be absolutely blown away by what he has to share. So
well done.
Nice work. Nice work, B-Dub. That's exciting. Great way to kick it off.
Really looking forward to that one, guys. Be sure to note 12:30, not the national call, but the builder's call. So if you're not accustomed to being on the builder's call, maybe that should be your first New Year's resolution. You're going to start joining the builder's call. You want to participate in a little more passive income with us. I hope so. All right. That's going to lead into a big national call. I know we're on a big national call. We're bam famming pretty hard here to next week, right? Because we are going to talk about the contest with the largest cash prize in the history of the world.
Right. At least the history of the insurance industry.
We think that it could be the largest cash prize in the insurance industry. We haven't really done any research.
Yeah, well, it's like when we own Native, one of my favorite signs we had out front was, what was it, voted best burger in the universe or something like that?
Yeah, Eastern Hemisphere.
Who's going to fact check this?
Yeah. Well, what we didn't say was who voted.
That's true. We voted.
Yeah. There you go. It's marketing genius is what that is.
That's right.
Also, first quarter EARS update, because we've been talking about extending EARS 22 qualifications through the first quarter.
Yep.
So we'll be nailing that down and rolling out to you what you need to focus on. But pretty safe to say that it won't be anything earth-shattering. It will be production-based or recruiting-based or maybe reset-based a little bit.
That's right. And by the way, back on that one, EARS, you guys should be checking your mailboxes quite frequently right now around this, I believe.
Oh, yes. I forgot to say that. You're right.
Yeah, Spivey, some of you guys might give us, we don't know the exact date, but we know they went out. So stay tuned to your mailbox.
They went out. There were some issues around the holidays with mail, weather, all the things. So if you haven't gotten it yet, don't panic just yet. It's still coming.
That's right.
And then Casey, something that we're all very excited about, kind of jumped the gun on it.
Right.
The wrong way there, but social Q. Your market just got warmer.
This is something we are very excited about. Tyler, if you want to unveil, we teased a little bit at conference about us really, leaning into social media engagement this year more than we have in the past. About the same time, just to give you guys a little timeline of what's been going on, Tyler, you had been working on building out a bit more of an agency model structure to actually, help, a lot of people on your team, help people in the company figure out how to attack the social media game that, we're all just, most of us are just learning. And some of you guys like Tyler have been doing it for a lot longer. So, we are excited to announce a pilot program. We're going to dig into it next week, as you guys just saw in the PowerPoint, but we are going to be locking arms with Tyler Harris. Tyler has a massive following on social media, has a lot of subject matter expertise around how do we actually use social media? How do we use it to our advantage from a business standpoint? How do we generate leads through social media? How do we generate recruiting through social media? How do we win with it? And so this is something that I know everyone wants to figure out. If you're an agency owner and you're onboarding agents, it's something that you want your agents to do. So Tyler, let's just spend like 5 or 10 minutes just kind of teasing what next week's rollout is going to be about. But this is a pilot. We're calling it Social Q. And Tyler, appreciate you being on, buddy.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me okay?
Gotcha.
I'm so fired up right now. Like I've got about 10 hours worth of stuff to say in the next 10 minutes or less. But that slide went away real fast. But I think the tagline that said Social Q, your market just got warmer. That was whittled down from about 50 taglines that we came up with last night. And I just want to read a couple of the other ones because there were some other ones that I was voting for as well. Let's see. Social Q, from direct mail to direct messages. The game is changing. Are you? Let's see. Social Q, where does your next client and agent live? Online. Social Q, spoiler alert, you don't need to dance. I thought that was a good one.
You can.
Brandon was upset about that one, actually.
I was looking forward to dancing, but I'm kind of relieved, I got to be honest with you.
Last but not least, Social Q, what are you afraid of most? Free leads or higher quality recruits? Those are all pretty good. So guys, I wanted to jump on here and just obviously express my excitement and passion for what's about to happen over the coming weeks. But what I love about Symmetry and why I'm so honored to be here and be talking to you guys right now is because it's such a growth focused organization, right? Like this is a company with a lot of people with a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. But what I want to do for everybody, it's my like true passion, is to just give you permission to be bad, like to be awkward, like to get a little weird, to do something that's uncomfortable, right? We talk about it so often in our business, but this is just one of those areas where it's like a magnifying glass. And so when it comes to social media, have you ever said something like, yeah, it's just not my thing? Or I don't really understand it, or I don't get TikTok or Instagram, or even gone so far as to say like, I don't like it. And like now it becomes a negative thing. Well, is that a growth mindset or is that a fixed mindset? Being okay, getting through the messy, awkward part at the beginning of learning anything, that's a part of approaching life with a growth mindset. And so here's the deal. For a long time, I thought I had a growth mindset because I was open to the idea that there was probably all sorts of things that I didn't know that I was really good at, right? Like there's plenty of things out there that I'm probably great at. And because I can just find them, yeah, it's a growth mindset, but that's a fixed mindset because I believe that there was some list of predetermined things that I'm going to be either bad or good at, right? But to actually approach life with a growth mindset, I had to accept that in order to do something new, I'm going to have to be bad at it first. So I hear this all the time, and like, please in the chat, let me know if you resonate with this. As you're coaching and training and leading agents, I'm just bad on the phone. God, man, I'm terrible on the phone. Or I'm just not good at recruiting. Well, you wouldn't allow that as an excuse not to do it, right? You just got to do it. And how do you get better? You do it more, right? You just do it. So avoidance only goes so far. So how many of you have been avoiding social media? Because you just maybe don't know what to do or where to start or what, when, how, like all of the things, right? Like how many of you have been putting it off saying like, oh, next year we're going to start taking this social media thing seriously. Trust me, guys, it's not going away. So for us to think that a year from now, 5 years from now, it's going to be less relevant, we're kidding ourselves. So what would happen if you just let yourself be awkward for a little bit, knowing that it is a prerequisite to actually becoming great? So here's the good news. With Social Q, we're literally eliminating every barrier to entry. If you don't have a single social media account right now, or you've got thousands of followers, but you want to get better at actually converting and turning that into dollars in your bank account in a growing business, we're going to teach you exactly how to do that. So let's just say for the sake of argument that we all understand that we need to be leveraging social media as a tool. So why aren't we? A lot of us don't know where to start, or it's just capacity. There's not enough time in the day. You're telling me I got to get on Instagram and post a story instead of coaching this agent, or instead of scheduling this appointment or running this appointment and writing business, right? Or maybe it's just the fear of putting yourself out there. We're going to tackle all of those things, giving you guys not only the permission, but empowering you and equipping you with all of the tools to be able to do it and do it well. So what's in it for you? I mentioned it before, higher quality recruits, what I like to call passive candidates. Passive candidates are the best candidates. They're the ones that aren't broke. They're the ones that aren't jobless. They're the ones that don't know what they don't know. And when all of a sudden they see something come out on your account and you pique their interest, now you got someone that's successful that just realizes that they were on the right track but the wrong train. That's a very different caliber recruit. Expanding your warm market. There are thousands of ways that you can be generating free leads. And guess what? They're real warm. So it's higher conversion. Because whether they actually know you or not, we're going to allow them to know you by what we're going to start doing on social media. So what to expect? There's going to be some intense, tactical, practical, strategic, all the good stuff, but weekly training where we're giving you tactical things to do. And then we're going to follow it up with implementation. So we'll have a certain strategy and then we'll implement that. So part of the call, you may be staring at your phone like this, like, what in the world is this? Everybody's just like, this is the rudest audience for this call. But it's going to be us actually doing, not just talking about it, but doing it. How to engage with corporate's content, how to leverage that. Guys, we're going to have so many practical examples of people on our team right now that because they commented on corporate's posts, someone reached out to them, and now they brought that person on as a new agent and now new writing agent. Just because they're engaging with corporate's content, they're recruiting people. Oh, it's because there are millions of eyeballs on this company right now because of everything that we're talking about on this call. If you're the one in the comments, you all of a sudden become the authority or the expert. Of course they would go to you. So we're going to talk about how to leverage what corporate's doing so that you guys can build a bigger business in 2023. So last thing I'll say, stay tuned next week on the national call, and definitely be on the lookout for any emails or communications so that you can get in the queue.
Love it, dude. Great work, man. Very excited about this. This, we believe this could be a massive game changer for the company. It's not the future. It's here. It's now. We got to play where the puck is, and it's where the puck is. And we've got to do whatever we can, as we've always tried to do with you guys, is equip you with what you need to do right now in your business to have the most success. And Tyler, just hearing some of the stories of some of the people you've already been working with in your own agency, some of the success stories of lead generation, people wanting to do policy reviews after the post, people wanting to know how to get into the business after the post. Like, how do we have you guys look back at the end of every month and have sales, extra sales under your belt? How do we look back for all of you, everyone out there wanting to build a business? How do you kind of look back at the end of the month and realize, man, I had 200, or I had 20, 30 new recruits, or 100 new recruits, or 2 new recruits for the month come into the social queue, get material from corporate lobbed up for them that they can post in a sequence that is meant to drive, leads in and recruiting in. And just the accountability factor as a new agent, for me as a new agent, to come into a new business and a new industry and have something very professionally put out there from a content standpoint that allows me to introduce myself and what I do now. How valuable is that for every new agent that joins the company? So we're excited about this. Think it's going to be a massive learning component to this pilot, which is why it's a pilot and not a full-blown program. We're going to learn a lot over the next 190 to 120 days in it, but very excited about it.
Hey, Casey, for the person that's out there right now and they're going, oh my gosh, they're finally going to make me do it, right? Like the person that's the most hesitant and against social media, I just challenge you to open your mind and start looking at it as a tool. Right? Maybe your experience has been using that tool as a tool for distraction or escapism or all the negative rabbit holes that you can go down with it, but that's a negative thing. What if we just gave you the exact strategies and tools to use that tool as a positive thing, as an incredibly impactful thing? I want you guys to know that this is going to be a radically, and I would say countercultural perspective on social media. This is not about getting more likes and getting more follows and getting more comments. This is about having strategic goals and objectives and using a tool to accomplish those goals and objectives, right? And we're not going to hide the reality of, I'm nervous to put myself out there. 50,000 posts later, I'm nervous every time, right? I posted something a couple of weeks ago, got 9 likes. It hurt my feelings, like a lot, right? I thought it was hilarious. Nobody liked it, right? But guess what? I booked 7 policy reviews that week and brought on 3 agents because of that post. So it's not about how great the stuff you're putting out is. It's not about how great your content is. It's how great you are with the content that you have. And a lot of these strategies, it's way less about what you're putting out. It's way more about what you're doing on social media, how you're, the word of the year, engaging with licensed agents, with your community, and now your warm market, right? So get it out of your head that this is like, they want me to become Insta famous and they want me to be an influencer and I'm going to be that guy or that girl that you talk about negatively because of what they do on social media. This is about whatever in the world you want it to be, but it's going to be proven strategies that not only can work, they are working. And they're going to represent a massive boost in 2023 if you take this seriously and just give it a shot. So I'm fired up, guys, and I look forward to next week's call as well.
Love that, buddy. And I'll also just add from a whole company standpoint, you know, one of the, I don't necessarily want to call it a threat, but it is something you have to watch out for when you start having the amount of agents nationwide that we have now and the amount of people, you know, posting things, or the amount of people, you know, doing their own kind of, you know, marketing is, you know, the threat of this thing kind of becoming the wild, wild west when it comes to marketing. And the danger in that for us as a company is, you know, we have very clear value propositions. And when you look at companies that execute extremely well, everyone in the company sings from the same exact songbook as far as what those value propositions are. What are those main things? So I think protecting ourselves from becoming the wild, wild west from a brand and a marketing standpoint by giving everyone exactly kind of, this is the messaging, and let's get unified in this messaging, and watch what that does. So just very excited about it from a whole company standpoint as well. It's gonna be a game changer.
Yes, love that. I love the name too, Social Cues. Somebody had a good Plan B name in the chat called Algorithms. That was pretty good too. Well, you're getting a lot of good comments about your Biggie poster back there.
I like that.
Yeah, I too. Looks good. Sharing screens.
Thank you, Tyler. It's gonna be fun, buddy.
It's gonna be awesome, man. All right, what's next? Oh, this is all leading into March 21st and 22nd. Save the dates. If you have not already saved them, we got the Leaders Summit and Spring Fling. You can head over to HQ for more details. Invitation only, key leaders and above. But if you do the numbers to hit key leader at least once, right? Anyone who hits key leader qualifications at least once between November and February, you get an invite. That's a minimum of 20,000 of net placed with 4 sales reps. Can that count yourself as one? Can't remember.
Yep. You just got to have 3 direct.
Redirect can be you as well.
Nice.
Can be,
Yep.
can be someone.
I like that. It's going to be $50, so save up too. And then, of course, we've got our big national conference, second time in Denver. Save the date there, August 9th through 11th. Going
You
back
just kind
to
of
the
roll over
Bilko.
that one. You know, we haven't actually announced this yet. You kind of assumed that we did, but this is new.
Oh.
This is news to people. I think maybe we have rolled it out, but I don't think
Marketing on my end. I'm
I
sorry.
think when we were in
Let's-
Denver, we might have teased it a little bit,
I
but
think we teased it. Hang on, let's go back then. And you know what? Let's start over, okay?
okay.
And you know what this leads up to? Our huge national conference back in Denver at the Bilko Theater, August 9th through 11th.
That's
With
it.
special guests, Casey Watkins,
Nailed
Todd
it.
Spivey, Brian Pope, Marlon Faulkner will be. I could go on and on. There's going to be so many special guests. It's going to be amazing. When will tickets be available for this event?
I believe Spring Fling is when we're opening registration.
Okay, got it. Spring Fling. So if you make it to Spring Fling, you get a jump on tickets because it could sell out.
A head start, yeah.
Yes.
But
All right.
we wanted to announce this so you guys could save the date, August 9th through 11th.
Will we be having a party again?
Yes, we will.
Oh, okay.
It'd be hard to top last year's
Symmetry
party.
party I've been to, yeah. And I think
Oh.
we have a new location for that outdoor party, which is going to be even cooler than the one before.
Yes, I love it.
It's gonna be a
I
good
don't
one.
know what's much cooler than taking over the entire downtown of Denver.
Man, that was, yeah.
Pretty awesome.
That was
Yeah.
epic.
I think we have an opportunity to beat it though, because if you look at that little park right there in the corner or in the top picture, I believe that's where we're going to be, isn't it?
No, but there's another park that looks very similar to that. I think.
Kind of looks like a park though.
It does.
You could have just
Does
said
look
yes
like a
and nobody would have known.
Hey, can we disinvite the ice cream truck with the dipped ice cream bars this time?
I've never heard that story. What
I
happened?
haven't heard that either. Were they dipped in something that you weren't aware of? Or, I mean, this is Denver we're talking about, or could you just not?
Oh no, I'm still trying to work that off.
Okay. All right. I love it.
That's going to be a good one. Excited about this one. So that's, save the day. The Spring Fling in our mind is a very big kind of springboard into packing this conference out. As you guys know, if you're new with us and you haven't heard our kind of metrics around conference attendance, but we very simply can take our conference attendance and do the math on what that means of production per attendee and really kind of boil it down to, if you get 10 people at conference with you, that means $50,000 a month of agency volume, which represents around $50,000 a year of passive revenue through an agency. So do the math. If you want a $100,000 business, if you want a $200,000 business, $300,000 business, you can it's not a shortcut, but it's at least if you don't do this, it's very unlikely to happen. So, one of our early mentors in business, Brandon, reminded both of us, big things happen at big events. You need, if you want people in your business to be committed versus involved, you have to get them to see more than just yourself on a Zoom link or at a small little meeting or something like that. They've got to get around the company. They've got to get around the energy, the vibe of what's going on, because that's where commitment comes from. So you come out of conference with 10 people and now all of a sudden you've identified 2 or 3 really committed running buddies. And that's where this world changes for you as an agency builder. That's where it all starts. So pack that Spring Fling out, sure, we're going to be announcing a lot of post-conference or pre-conference blitzes, a bunch of meetings around the country. A lot of you guys are already kind of planning that. So stay tuned to some of the details there, but let's put a big focus on Denver and fill every seat up this year. We had some seats open last year, so I think we can pack it out and sell it out this year.
Yes, sir.
5,000, I think, is what it seats. So
What'd you say? 5,000, 4,000? 5,000. Yeah.
5,000. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right. So I think this is, Casey, kind of where we wanted to just take a break for a second before we get into a couple of things and just acknowledge, if we can, what we briefly acknowledged at the beginning of this call, which is how grateful we are for all of you for kind of sticking through what was really to say it was a challenging year, I think is kind of an understatement as it comes to business, and really a challenging 2.5 years with all the tricks that you guys have had to learn. We did business a certain way for 10 years, 11 years, and that all got flipped on its head over a period of about 2 months, if not a little more. And we did a great job of, we've said, adapting and learning new tricks, how to sell virtually, how to sell over the phone. But things continued to change. And when you really think about 2022 in general, with, kind of post-COVID lockdown economy, with inflation doing what it did, with probably most importantly, or the hardest challenge, seeing the mortgage market do what it did. Not a 2008 collapse, but when you are, as we were, 90% reliant on the mortgage market to generate leads, when you have the change that the country went through, it stood to have a tremendous negative impact on the company. Demand for mortgages was the lowest it had been in 22 years in June of last year, June of 22. The refi market, which, as you guys know, we used to create a ton of our analog leads, it was down 75% year over year. All of that happened in about a 90-day period, and that was really tough. And so not only did you have those changes, you had the economy doing what it did, it seemed like the consumer was changing right before our eyes to how they responded to marketing, Casey. Yeah. How they wanted to buy products, how they wanted to be sold, how they wanted to be engaged. All of that changed in what felt like overnight, which meant that we had to scramble and figure out new lead programs. But you can't figure out new lead programs without figuring out, especially if you're going to the digital route, how to work those leads effectively. And in order to work digital leads effectively, you have to have a platform that allows you to contact and connect with your clients almost instantaneously, right? So I think that there's so much gratitude for not only all of the agents and the agency owners that stuck it out and figured out and learned new tricks, but everybody here at the home office that, honestly, we're talking about June of 2022. Some of these things were being worked on a year earlier, because you could see some of the changes that were coming. And had we not made the changes and shifts, and had you guys not made those changes and shifts, and had you not made it happen, it's scary to think about what could have happened for the company. And in spite of all of that went wrong, because we're really just talking about the economy side and what it did to leads. When you really look at what has happened to the world in the last couple of years, with depression rates, with anxiety rates, with just all the crazy stuff that's happening, I think it's very easy for us to have so much gratitude for everyone that kind of put in so much work to make these things, not only these changes happen, but these changes stick and actually be profitable. And the crazy thing, Casey, is that we went through all of this, Pope, and we still finished the year at a record high. We still finished the year at a record number of leads going out, considering all the changes that happened midway through the year. And we still finished the year poised to blow the absolute doors off of it in 2023. Yep. And I think that alone is cause for so much freaking celebration. Casey and I and Pope started this company in the middle of the mortgage collapse of 2009. We had no idea that 13, 12 years later what was going to happen. But I think we have more faith than we've ever had in the industry. We have more faith than we've ever had in the company, the leadership, the people that really are the boots on the ground and the fingers on the keyboard these days, continuing to make this thing happen. And so, we just wanted to start off by saying how grateful we are for everyone that made 2022 what it was, and how grateful we are for the hard work that has gone into make 2023 and the very beginning of 2023 give us the optimism that we have, because as I said earlier, it's been a long time since we've had this much optimism, and it seems pretty crazy to think that with everything that has happened in our industry and our business and in the world that we would be as optimistic as we are. But I think that's a testament to all of you guys out there, and how you've engaged up to this point, and the amount of impact that you've made on so many people up to this point. And that's fixing to change for the better, man. Engagement's going to look a little differently, and we have more of an opportunity to make a positive impact than we've ever had before. That's what it's all about, man.
So well said, dude.
That's what it's all about.
So well said. And yeah, if you're out there and you're kind of agreeing with everything we're saying about the change and the, in addition to just the change that was thrown at us, all of us together through, just the change of economy and circumstances, we were also taking some swings, as a company behind the scenes. We're all entrepreneurs, at heart on this call. And so that, Brandon, myself, and Brian we get fired up by innovation and some of the things that we've been focusing on. And so, we've taken a lot of pitches, we've taken a lot of swings over the last year, over the last 18 months. And some of those swings that we took, got us home runs. Some of those swings got us a pop fly. Some of them got a base runner on. Some of them, hit the guy in the dugout and knocked him out, and we're the mascot. We're as imperfect as anyone else, and we're going to mess up, and we're going to make the wrong calls. Sometimes we're going to throw too much at you guys. And as Brandon said, we're just grateful that you guys hang with us and you help us fight through it and you help us figure out the way. And so grateful to the advisory board too, for keeping our brains on the pulse and what needs to happen. And, if 2022, I think Palmer said it best, the other day, he's always good at analogies. And I think his analogy was about, we have a little bit of a visual around this. If 2022 is about getting people on base, 2023 is about running them home. And so, as Brandon said at the beginning, it's about engagement for us, but it's also about focus and it's about simplicity. And so we have just a few things on base right now that we feel like if we can get these things home, we're going to dominate in this 2023. So we'll share some of that and just make sure that with all of you guys, we're aligning and we're bringing as much clarity as we can to what we're focused on behind the scenes. And that may mean that we're shifting focus away from things that we've rolled out and things that, hey, are still going to be on the table. They may just not carry the same priority weight as some of these three bases that we'll talk about. Pope, any feedback or comments on that, on the year 2022?
Yeah, I think, the basic problem with innovation, or the basic challenge with innovation, is because you're doing something new, you don't know what works.
Yep.
And you try 25 things and 2 or 3 of them work really, really well. 2 of them are okay, and are wasted. And that we spent really the last couple of years innovating, and now we found out, because we know it works. We know we have some things going on right now that we're going to be rolling out here that we've been testing, that we know work really, really well, that are going to be game changers. So we've now got behind us the majority of the work around, trying different things and doing different things. And I think that engage is a perfect word, because it's time to engage with the things that we know really, really gain a lot of traction and really propel us forward exponentially, because we're doing things now that nobody else is doing. So now it's about applying it to our world, and it's exciting. I'm super excited around a couple things regarding recruiting and lead generation. The platform is going to make everybody's life easier. Switchboard makes everybody's life easier. Navigator's just going to make everything easier. That's not going to be something that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be really easy to implement because it's just plug and play, makes everything easier, simpler, more simple, right? Because ultimately you got to start really complicated, right? And you got to work through all those complications and learn a whole bunch of things. What I don't think we were expecting, and I've had this discussion with a lot of people, is that, when you innovate, and I use the analogy of a car, if you build a car that goes 250 miles an hour, you got to change the aerodynamics, which means you got to change the body, and then you got to change the tires because tires don't go 250 miles an hour, they blow up. So now you got to redesign the tires, and you got to redesign, you got to basically redesign the entire car, right? So you have something that, in name it's a car, but it's like a completely different animal. And that's what we've done. And so, what we didn't, when we decided, okay, we're going to change the way products work. Well, then we had to change the way products were marketed. Then we had to change the way that we engaged with the client on the way we marketed. And each one of these things was a new innovation. We didn't realize, I think, that we'd have to revamp almost everything, right? And so when you're operating in a much quicker environment, you start realizing that there's certain aspects of things you've been doing that can't keep up. So now I think we got a really good grasp. Now it's about really focusing on the few things we know are really, really fundamentally different and really work for us, that are going to really, what they'll end up doing is the payoff much greater for the amount of effort everybody puts in. You'll get 2, 3, 4, 5 times the results and reward for the same amount of effort, which was really the goal. It was just a very crooked road, Yep. It was a very crooked road to get there. We knew the destination, but the route was a little more scenic than we expected.
Yeah, well said, man. Well said. So let's get into that. Let's spend 15, 20 minutes. Resma, if you want to jump on, and let's use this driving the base runners into home analogy, Brando, to talk about what our priorities are for the year.
Yeah, man.
How we're going to win.
Love that. We've even got a little diamond here to show, to take a look at. And it's funny because there still will be a lot of things kind of going on behind the scenes, but what we want engagement to look like and focus to look like in 23 is very simple. It's getting back to the basics. It's recruiting, onboarding, and activation. It's leads, which we also consider resets to be a big part of leads. And it's more products, apps, and data. So, Mr. Resma, Chief Distribution Officer, you got your hands on a lot of different things right now. Let's start at first base if we can, and acknowledge, I think, first that 2022 was a challenge when it came to. It started off the year as a pretty big challenge when it came to recruiting, because we had so many people that were on one source, and that source made some changes, and the recruiting team worked very hard to kind of open that source back up. And so that kind of got fixed to the tune of thousands of leads a month that were coming out, recruiting leads. And then we went through some changes in our onboarding portal, our contracting portals. We used to call contracting. You'll be hearing us refer a lot more to that as onboarding and activation. But maybe a little transparency, and then, what does a home run actually look like for us this year, Mike? So first, transparency around why the challenges in 22 with regards to onboarding.
Yeah, specifically with onboarding, I think a lot of you know that we made a switch to our onboarding platform and got away from SureLC and went on to Agent Sync. And a lot of the reasons why we did that was because it was better integrations with the Nipper database, better integrations into our systems, so we could have some better reporting and analytics to see, onboarding stats. But one of the challenges with Agent Sync is that the platform itself is causing some duplicate work. It's not effectively running like it should be and how it was sold to us. And trust me that we've got a lot of communication with them and plans and action plans to have those things fixed. And if they don't, then we'll have to look at other sources. We know that, the most important thing that we could focus on as an organization is getting more people contracted faster, getting them to write their first piece of business, and get them to SNA as quickly as possible. We need to have the right onboarding platform in order to do that. So we're tirelessly working with Agent Sync to fix a lot of the bugs inside of there. And then if they don't, then we might look at going back to SureLC or another platform, but just know we are actively working on getting the right platform. And then not just from an onboarding standpoint, but all the way through, again, activation, first application, and SNA, and breaking down that entire process. So a home run in onboarding is getting to 48-hour service level times for all ways that somebody can come into our organization, whether it's a brand new licensed agent, whether it's somebody transferring from another IMO, it's adding on additional appointments in the pre-appointment process. But what we're striving to this quarter is to get all service level times on our end, 48 hours. So then it's on the carrier, and then we can push the carrier to increase, to speed up their contract level times.
Love it. And
so I do want to talk real quick. Just, Casey recommended last quarter that we create this agent activation committee. And I want to give a shout out to Jordan Shank, Ashley and Tyler Harris, JPV, Miranda, Ian Graham. They're part of this committee that we started last quarter. We're 3 sessions in, and right now it's been a strong recruiting focus. And as you guys just heard from Tyler Harris and what he's launching with Social Q, it's going to be a game changer for everybody. So definitely pay attention to what Tyler is going to be teaching all of you. You want to get uncomfortable. That's where the growth happens, but we're not going to stop there. We're also going to look at other ways to get recruiting leads for you guys. And Brandon and Pope have been working on a recruiting pilot that came from their brain trust, and then some others as well. So we'll have additional recruiting lead sources, the right onboarding platforms, 48-hour service level times. We're in that committee. We're looking at how do we interview people. We don't have a streamlined interviewing process and the right questions to ask to filter out and get good candidates in that understand what it takes to be successful in this organization. So we're literally looking at everything from recruitings, applications, interviews, working with Brian Williamson on when people are onboarded and getting to Summit, redoing Summit training that actually has training tied to how we run our business today and not how it was done years ago. So we're really excited to have those updates done this quarter to help out with activation.
Hey, Mike, can I chime in real quick?
Absolutely.
Because I know that the problem is everybody deals with us on onboarding, and we're only part of the equation. Part of the problem we end up having is when we send it to a carrier, it's out of our hands. So if there's levels, we're only part of the service level, work stream. So if it slows down, if we're at 48 hours or could be 5 hours, right? I've heard as quick as 13 minutes. But the problem is, and we send it to a carrier that's backed up 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we're kind of dead in the water with it. We can try to move it to the front of the queue if it's important, if it's a priority situation, but you got to let us know that. But that's one thing. The one other thing I wanted to mention, Brandon and Casey might throw something at me, but one thing we have done too, so we're talking about contracting and licensing, is we have a vendor that will assist in getting multiple non-resident licenses. Okay. So essentially what you do is you pay them a fee and they'll license you in how many other states you want to get licensed in. Why is that important? Well, 2 things. If you're going to get overrides, there's 9 states you have to get licensed in to get overrides. Probably more importantly is when you order digital leads, if you're just in one state, the challenge is for a lead vendor is on digital leads is generating enough leads in a particular state. If you expand that to 5 states, 6 states, 7 states, 8 states, 2 states, 3 states, it dramatically improves the ability of the vendor to deliver your leads in a much more timely fashion, because they have a much broader geography to draw from on digital leads. So we'll get that information out in probably a subsequent call. That's a big deal. Because if you go right now, if you want to get licensed in 5 states, you basically have to go to 5 different departments of insurance, submit paperwork and all that kind of thing for a very low fee. And I'm talking, it's really minimal. They'll do all that. The other thing the vendor will do is maintain your license, your non-resident licenses. So they'll, you basically pay them, they pay the states, they make sure all the stuff's up to date. There's a requirement like continuing ed or anything like that. They'll tell you. Makes it a kind of hands-off, really easy. It's like having an assistant for licensing, and it's really inexpensive.
Yep. Working on that one.
Love it. All right.
All right.
Let's talk second base, shall we?
Big one.
Leads and resets. Definitely wanted to hear from you, Resume. Obviously, with leads, we're working on a ton of things. I think we gave a great update on that at the end of the year. Not only client leads, also recruiting leads, advanced market leads. A big focus for us in 23 is not only to continue to improve upon the quantity and the quality of leads that we're putting out there, but also in the resets program. And how do we simplify that, make it more user-friendly for every agent out there and a better experience for every client out there? Because Casey, you said it best. I think we're probably sitting in front of 7,000 or 8,000 people a week.
At least. They're
asking for a product. We need to first help them with what they're asking for. Then we need to very simply help them uncover the other needs they have. So Resma, give us an update on resets, bud.
Yeah, so resets, I want to just keep in mind with everybody, we started building out this reset program 14 months ago. And if you think about what the market and our business model was like 14 months ago, we were still primarily mortgage protection. Some people were still doing face-to-face, or virtual was the primary way of doing business. But now, once we launched, the majority of our business is now over the phone. So our consumers have changed, the agents, how people want to do business has changed, and we've got to adapt with it. So I totally get and talked to quite a few agents, the general life leads and scripting, those appointments need to be quick. So it's, the model that we're going to have going forward is if you're more advanced or you are doing more virtual or face-to-face appointments, then yeah, as you get more comfortable with everything, you can do that. But we need to get you guys the scripting of basic general life mortgage protection over the phone scripting, and just focus on bam, fam, book a meeting from a meeting after every single appointment you have, and especially thinking about every single no sale that you have. The goal is to eventually eliminate all no sales, because in my mind, there is no such thing as a no sale, just not having enough solutions to offer. And if you remember that every single client falls into one of 3 categories, they have debt, they have no retirement, or they have some retirement, that all 3 of those categories is a reset opportunity. And instead of going through the FIEF, we talked about on the last national call, updated inside of HQ, just going through at the end, asking simple questions, resetting. Right now it's calendar linked, but after talking with Brandon and Casey today, look at other ways to just generate leads instead of booking appointments if they don't want to book an appointment, so we can track that, get that off, make it really simple. And the reason why this is important, you guys, because if we're meeting with 7,000 people a week, for every 1,000 resets that we get a week, it's worth roughly $50 million worth of business for us for every 1,000 resets that we get a week. It's substantial. Not only that, just helps, it's additional value prop, because the clients that we're serving, middle America, it's the most underserved market that's out there, and most financial advisors won't talk to them. We had, the Quilty Financial Advisors team on the national call last week talking about what they do and their software and their value prop. And I know that was a eye-opening call for a lot, and we got a lot of great feedback after that. So just remember, we have all of these solutions to offer. 1,000 resets a week is the first goal, worth $50 million worth of business. And we're looking at ways to simplify every single process that we have to make it duplicatable and sustainable long-term.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll hear us continue to talk about resets all year long, because it really is one of the most important initiatives that we have. It's a way for, I think, agents to grow their income 25, 30, 50% passively. It's a way for managers to do the same. It's a way for us to come close to doubling the size of the company if we get full engagement and full buy-in. And we know that it is not perfect yet, but we're working towards getting it perfect. And there are a lot of people, Mike, that are already having a lot of great results with the program. So we'll keep talking about that more and more. Third base, products, apps, data. Let's just jump right to it. We're working a lot with data. I think you guys will see a huge difference this year with all the work that's been put in with Danielle and her team over the past 12 months. The same thing with apps. And let's talk products, because it has taken a little longer.
Yep, go for it. Sorry.
It's taken a little longer, and we'll come back to apps in a second. We're going to talk products for 1 second. It does take a little bit longer when you involve the carriers. I think that they thought it would be a little bit easier. There's always a little bit to a lot of bit of red tape that you have to work through when you're designing product. We are in beta on Quility Term Plus QTP. That is fully underwritten with no medical evidence, digital app within minutes. I think it's available in all states other than New York. I don't know if you got confirmation on that, Mike. We'll double check. You guys will know. Up to $2 million in coverage, up to 40 years as a term, and our favorite part, Preferred Plus, which would be a table 0 all the way up to a table 12. We have, even in the beta, taken some products that some policies that have been declined by another carrier, a non-med carrier, put them into the platform. 24, 48 hours later, it pops out. It can be instantaneous if it has to go get more underwriting, which is what you look at when you start moving into the table 6, 7, 8, up to 12. You may have to have a physical person take a look at that, but that still is running in beta at 24 to 48 hours. So we're learning a whole lot about this product, and to say we're excited about it, we're still really excited about Quility Level Term QLT, but man, this one I think is we're equally as excited on this one.
Yeah, I want to give Arez All, one of the pilot agents, helping us out with Navigator and this LGA. And what you were talking about was one of his clients got declined through one of our core carrier simplified issue term products that was through a table 4, didn't get the instant issue, went to an underwriter, like you said, within 40 hours, ended up getting a table 3 health rating, which was cheaper than the simplified issue term company, which was table 4, and got approved and placed in 4. So Arez, great job. Thank you for your engagement. And this going through table 12 is absolutely going to be a game changer.
Yeah, the cool thing is, A, it's top comp. B, this will take care of 90%. I mean, you're going to 90% of your term cases will qualify for this product because of the table 12. You're not going to have to go somewhere else. Oh, this person's, 80 pounds overweight, so I'm going to have to go over to Mutual of Omaha or America or whatever. You can do it. You can do it on this product. And what Mike just said is really a key. Is a lot of times it's very unlikely it'll get issued more expensive, although there will be those cases, than, let's say, a simplified issue product somewhere else. But it's likely, if you're looking at a simplified issue product and it comes in more expensive, that product would probably be declined at that other carrier. So this is going to encompass, on the term side, probably 90% of the cases. The only probably restriction would be age, and this goes up higher issue rates. But I'll reiterate again, it's top comp.
It is top comp. And we're in beta, and we're learning a lot, and it's only going to get better. And it's not just about this product, Brian. We hope to within, I don't want to put timeframes on it because we can get ourselves in trouble. We know what abilities we have for the other products that will be coming out. I would just say 2023 will be the year of a lot of Quility products that are coming out. You got a couple of final expenses that are pretty close to ready to drop. You've got some IUL we're working on, DFL we're working on. Every product that we have in the portfolio, other than currently, kind of the ancillary products like Medicare subs, that sort of thing, but maybe annuities, that sort of thing. But most of the products, 99% of the products that you guys are writing, there will be a Quility product this year. And it will also, Pope and Resma, be on platform, which I think is equally as exciting as what the products are and what they're doing and how they're written and how they're received and how all those things. Resma, talk about Navigator for a little while, and then Pope and I will, I'm sure, have to jump in because
let me just say one quick thing. IUL, 80 to 90% of your IUL business will fit into our digital IUL. Really, what you're probably only going to be up against would be age and face amount. So it's up to $1 million. Yep. But think about that. You can sell an IUL, which is really big for resets, right? So somebody you're doing resets, somebody's going to go in and sell an IUL. It can be done instantaneously. So, we're talking the same, it's basically exactly the same process as QLT term.
Yep.
Boom.
Game changer. To have advanced market products in an instant issue world, absolutely going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
So the Navigator, from what I've seen, I mean, this thing is so slick. Todd Rupplinger and team leading the build out of this. So imagine, having a product recommendation tool and a quoting tool all in one with a real clean user interface, user experience. Being able to change between quoting the product recommendation, not just based off of a price, but other background info from underwriting and comp and things of that nature. So it'll give you a best fit rating score on there. So easy to go between products and term coverages and quoting all in one application. The information that you fill out on there, if it ends up not going through, will automatically be saved to that client record and be able to be transferred over to a different carrier and product that's on platform. We've got on the roadmap, all of our digital products being on there, but also adding up to 10 analog products by the end of the year on here. So this will be our sales platform of the future and the sales platform for the entire insurance industry, I believe, down the road. So absolutely amazing. So on the DTC side, it will also replace our current widget on there to be able to offer direct to consumer, where clients will be able to see the different products, the pricing, the term coverages, all in a direct to consumer platform as well. So this is absolutely going to change the game.
Yes. Let me answer just a couple of questions I'm seeing pop up too. And Rezi, you can feel free to kind of jump in there too. New York is a beast. It will always be a beast. Not many carriers want to do business in New York. If you live in New York, I would get non-res licenses. You'd be better off trying to sell in Canada at this point.
Right.
With regards to other products and when they're going to drop, keep in mind what we're talking about is all of our digital underwritten Quility products. All the products are available out there now. Underwriting will change. It will improve. And that's getting much better. From a time frame standpoint, it's hard to put a date or even a quarter on some of these. You'll see many drop, or some drop at least in the first quarter. Some will drop in the second. Some will push into the third, just because it's very difficult for some of these companies to change the way they've been working and thinking for the past 100 years. They want to, and they're very excited about the opportunity. It's just not easy for them to do that, but they are in the process. That's a good thing. I think the carriers are as excited, if not more so, than we are.
And keep in mind, guys, these are exclusive products to Quility. These applications and the software is ours. We're building this stuff. And so when you look at, again, the need for us to really concentrate on first base, which is onboarding and activation, that's a big thing, because this is going to be 2023 is going to be yet another big year for the land grab. we have a massive head start on anyone else in the industry. No one seems to be focused on building products and building applications and software that make our life easier as an agent or a client. So get ready for it.
Yes.
Exciting.
Get ready. It's coming.
Still waiting on that Flight of the Navigator trailer for a full rollout. But
I know.
We'll get there.
Lindsay was just in here. Should I bring her back in to put her on the spot to talk about getting that going?
Right up her alley, that's for sure. She could definitely do a good Flight of the Navigator spoof.
Yes, indeed. We hope that full agent rollout, aiming for probably end of February on this first product. D2C integrations also likely to come Q1, which is huge because you have a client interactive version for these products as well. So anything to add there, buddy?
Yeah, no, DTC will probably be beginning of Q2, but end of February, early March for LGA coming out of beta launch for everybody is absolutely on target.
Love it, man. Appreciate you, Resma.
Yep. Thank you guys. Happy New Year.
If you have not had a
everybody.
chance to spend time with Mike, you should figure out how to do that. And that's generally means you need to get to Asheville for the event that we've got coming up. Casey, we wanted to end the call.
I mentioned on the apps too, because that's just a terminology we use a lot behind the scenes, and you guys may not be what it fits in that bucket, as far as apps go. So Switchboard is on that base for us. Navigator,
HQ.
obviously, HQ, Resma. Summit and some of these other kind of onboarding tools might fall a little bit less into an app and more into onboarding, but just want you guys to just understand that, applications, are the thing that takes the friction out of our movement, and they're extremely complex, but we're in the iPhone 1 range right now on a lot of these apps. So that's where our focus is how do we evolve these things? And so we're going to be continuing to kind of bring a lot of you guys in as committees because you're the end user. And so our focus on these apps is to get them dialed this year, really evolve them. Take Switchboard to 2.0, 3.0, take HQ to 2.0, 3.0. And obviously, get Navigator launched in a very big way. So excited about the evolution of this year and the focus on these things. And I'm excited. The second thing I would say is, the visual that you guys are seeing, there has been a lot of movement over the past 120 days behind the scenes from a corporate structure with moving Resma into the seat that he's in, with moving Fletch into the integrator president role. Those two specific moves are massive. So, we've been shifting to kind of create a lot of focus and simplify this year already. So this is not like, hey, we're going to get started. It's January 1. Let's start behind the scenes and kind of shifting gears. This is already in full motion. So that's what we're excited about, guys. We kind of have a really good foundation for this year to grow on. We got the bases loaded. Now let's drive them home.
Love that, man. So we wanted to end the call with the advisory board who we have on. I think there's some great things here, but before and everyone feel free to open up. We have 3 questions that everyone's been thinking about. We want to share some memories with you guys from 2022. I think it's a great exercise for everybody listening in to the call today to write these questions down, to answer these questions. Love it, George and Janet, by the way. Write these questions down, answer these questions, share them with someone. It could be your spouse, partner, could be your upline, could be several people. Question number 1, what was the biggest business or life lesson that you learned last year in 2022? What was the biggest business or life lesson that you learned in 2022? Question number 2, what are you most proud of or grateful for today? There's probably a big list of those things. Write all of them down. Can't have too many. And then number 3, how will you engage differently in 2023? Many of you have been super engaged. So maybe it's not how will you engage, it's how will you engage more? What will engagement look like? How will you engage differently? Okay. What are you most proud of or grateful for? So, and I think we've got some some pictures for everyone to kind of run through as well. Casey, do you want to be the first to answer those 3 questions?
I think let's let the pictures dictate who goes first.
Okay.
And
aha, that looks like
oh, Brando, you're chopping up a little bit. You guys got me? Must be Brando.
I can hear you, Casey, but can't hear Brandon.
It's like the perfect free shot of Brandon's frustration about his screen.
All right, who's that? Who threw this in the mix?
That's a good one.
Nobody's claiming it. These are great pictures. There you go, Brando.
Okay, sorry, like Zoom froze up on me and said it was shutting down. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
All right, sorry about that.
Way to kick off the celebration, man. Big down.
Well, that's the ending. At least the kickoff went well. Can you see it now?
No.
There we go.
Nice. There we go. Okay. All right. Can you still hear me and see me?
Yep, you're good.
All right. Person on the left. These are like memories and moments, things I'm grateful for. Person on the left is a musician here in town, David Wilcox. Meredith and I in 2022 celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. And to celebrate, this gentleman on the left actually wrote us a song. We tracked him down and he wrote us a personalized song because he was an artist that I took Meredith to go see on our very first date. So that was really a cool memory for us. We'll have to play the song for you guys one day. This next picture is a Cabo picture. It was a Mike Pappas tequila tasting, which was a highlight. I absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
And then probably the biggest highlight is I got to celebrate my 45th birthday in a way that I never would have even dreamed imaginable. So, you know, when it comes to lessons learned, for me, I think keeping people in the wrong seat, including yourself, if you find yourself doing things that don't fill you up, that drain you, is the biggest recipe, I think, for disaster. It's the biggest recipe for burnout. It's not good for you. It's not good for your company. It's not good for any of those things. And so I think, you know, it speaks to why it's so important. And we talk about it's so great to find an assistant to do the things that you don't like to do that are so necessary to get done. If you allow yourself to be in the wrong seat for too long, it's not good. Most proud of or grateful for, I think there's so many things personally to be grateful for. Meredith and I built a house that only took us 5 years to complete. So we finally get to move into that.
Yeah, buddy.
That was fun during COVID. But I think most proud of or grateful for, I think, is what you guys did as a company to kind of get through what was, you know, we didn't see it coming as being the most challenging year that the company had ever gone through, especially after getting through COVID. And to see what you guys have done and the impact that you continue to make, I think that's easily, Casey, the most proud thing for me. And then I think you and I both plan to engage a little differently and hopefully put ourselves into our sweet spot, or what continues to lift us up by, you know, getting working with the agents and the agencies more, traveling a little bit more, and just engaging the way that we did for 11 years, 12 years. I think that's got to do some of that at the end of the year, and it just really filled us up. So grateful to have that opportunity to do it.
Love that, buddy. We do have some good traveling coming up too, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Bunch of trips.
Yes, we do.
Oh yeah, this looks like from my cell phone. I mean, that outdoor party was hard to beat at Denver. Just the bigness of Denver itself there with the branding, just how we took over the city was, man, that wasn't just a highlight of 2022. That was probably one of the highlights of my life. From a standpoint, from a personal standpoint too. So
we look like a hip hop band right there or something, don't we? Great.
It felt like that. It was awesome.
I know.
And then
DJ down there.
Well, yeah, that was a great band.
Yeah.
Is that it for my pictures?
Nope.
Oh yeah, that was us behind the stage with Marlon and Meredith getting ready to go out and fire them up with the little little league tykes, which was awesome. Such a good opener. Just the energy of coming out on stage back there. That's a fun one. And then you see the Bible Baptist Church bus here that we converted into an awesome tiny home.
That's the coolest bus I've ever seen.
Off the grid camping machine that Sarah and I both spent a lot of weekends there this summer and fall. And so really enjoyed that. A bunch of bike trails and hiking trails. So we just, I think big lesson for me this year was, protecting that energy. What are the things that really fill me up? And trying to take care of myself as much as possible and do as much of that stuff as possible so that I can, bring the energy, be the best version of myself. You can't pour from an empty cup, and so I think, on that point, my lesson would be that, the value of having something big in your life that you're driving for. I think that as life throws stuff at you, sometimes my tendency is to kind of seek comfort. And, I think when you look at people that even retire and you look at the depression rates after retirement, like comfort is not the answer. Movement is the answer. Purpose is the answer. And so instead of seeking comfort, I learned to seek purpose. I had to learn to seek things that would fill me up and not retreat from those things. And that's what we're doing here. That's the impact that we're making together. And so that allows you to really focus on energy and, how to put put the things that fill you up and give you the energy so that you can attack the things that you're on fire about and you have purpose around. So that's my biggest lesson. And then I'm proud, as you said, Brandon, I'm just proud of all of us, proud of all of you guys for what we've accomplished. I'm extremely grateful for this community and, the friendships and relationships that we all share. I think it's a very unique culture and community that we have. I've never quite seen anything like it. And, it can be a lonely world, especially coming out of COVID. There's a lot of isolation. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to get back out and kind of connect with the community. And I just think that the bonds that we all share around values, around our attitudes, our outlook, our goals, it's an essential ingredient to having a full life, living a full life. And, communities, common unity is what it means. And I think that we have that. And when we have that together, when we have common unity, we can move mountains together. And that's what we're seeing. So and engage. Same with you, Brandon. I'm ready to get back in our sweet spots, travel and engage with all of you guys.
Love it, buddy. Who's next? I think we can guess who this is.
Look at that family.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I know those people.
You know those people, don't you, buddy?
Right.
Well, for me, just real quick, what the biggest lesson that I learned, this past year is to say no. Now, I'm still learning that lesson, but I think that's the biggest lesson that I learned, to really be able to hone in on exactly what the purpose I'm doing, what I'm building, what I'm growing. And then I think also this year, I really learned how to focus or what I'm looking to engage for in this coming year is how to really engage in the tech and social media that we have available to us, because that's where we're going to see the biggest amount of growth as we continue to move forward for Quility, for Symmetry, for all of our agencies. And I'm excited to, learn from Tyler and use pictures like this to help engage in social media in a new way like I haven't before. And then just most proud moment, the picture on the right, got to spend 2 weeks on that yacht with my lovely wife for her 40th birthday. And that was a trip that was I started planning that 3 years before we actually went. And for that to actually happen, like there's so many different senses of relief, but then also just amazement being there, just raising my personal lid of what's available to us, the beauty this world has to offer, the travel that you guys are talking about. Like I'm excited for that in this coming year. So yeah, 2022 was a fantastic year on multiple points, and it's just leading up to what this year is going to do for all of us in a tremendous way.
Love it, buddy. Go look, but wait, there's more.
Hey there, everybody. This one's mine. Wow, what a year. It was so hard to just pick 2 pictures. That was like the biggest challenge. So picture on the left, I have no idea how my light ring got into it, but just really like encapsulates what an amazing time Miami was for Ayers and I. That was the daily sunset from our balcony in 2014. When Ayers and I were first really getting into wearing all the hats in the business. We were in Atlanta driving to appointments, and we would finish our appointments on a Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, hop on a plane down to South Beach, conduct our interviews from the sand, spend Thursday hanging out, and get back Friday to dial again. And we kept that vision in front of us, got a little taste of it all along the way. To be able to live there all last year was a pretty big deal for 2022. And so many people on this call that I got to share memories with off of this balcony. Ayers' 50th birthday in Miami, just an epic feeling of what's possible and what this company has made possible for our lifestyle. So that was pretty awesome. Really wrapping up the year with the picture on the right on said deck of that boat that Edward just showed. This picture epitomizes a lot, just the association that we have in our lives from this company. Mentors in this picture, everyone who has shaped and guided me. The ability, like Edward said, just to expand the horizon of what's possible and be able to see yourself living on an amazing boat. And I only got to be on it for a week, but was really blessed. So anyway, it was hard to narrow it down to 2, but great trips with friends, seeing friends being wed in Italy and celebrating their birthdays in Italy, and an awesome time in Miami. It's been an incredible year. Real quick, biggest lesson, I was introduced to human design this year, and I learned that I'm actually, I should do more responding and less initiating. And that was evident in some lessons I learned. As a pioneer, I initiate a lot. And really, that's not where my energy is best utilized. So there's some cool leadership lessons about responding versus feeling like I always have to initiate in leadership. That was really cool. I'm very proud of my leadership team. That's probably what I'm most proud of. We're a small team, but we have engaged in a bunch of conflict in 2022. We made it through the other side. So I'm just very proud of the team. And I'm going to engage in 2023 by starting at the bottom of this pyramid, the power of full engagement, with the physical again as the foundation, knowing that being right there is going to lay the framework for all the other good stuff. So back to you guys. Thanks.
Well done, Cease. Miranda. You guys are a hip hop fan too.
So, okay, so the picture on the left, it was the very first conference that I think Dave spoke at, Dave Kushner. He did a speech and it was called Don't Stop Believing. And so when this song came on, I was like, we got to get up there and take a selfie. And he's like, I don't know if they're going to let us up there. I'm like, oh yeah.
I love this up there.
So we booked it, and then we got that selfie, and that was just such an amazing moment. And I was just so proud of that's all of Symmetry Equality in that picture. It just looked like there was I don't know, 10,000 people out there in the street. Yeah. It was just such a cool moment. Really glad that we got to crash the stage together, Dave. And over on the right we won a trip to the Founders Lake House, and it was so cool. We got to, Casey taught us how to surf. I didn't quite do it, but I think Casey, we had some really talented first-time surfers out there.
Yeah, I was impressed.
But that was just, those are really two special moments. And I didn't realize there was gold in that lake. Like I've never seen like gold. It was like, it's my kind of lake. So anyways, when I look back on biggest lessons of 2022, the one thing that stands out is that if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. So for me, it was like a big year of change. I think that for a lot of people, and I know our team, a lot of us, it was like more of we call it like a character building year. And one of the things that I'm so proud of is the grit of everyone that I'm in business with. And I found this quote. I don't think this is like the definition like for real, but like I love this definition of grit. It says, determination to push through any challenge or obstacle thrown your way until you succeed. And that's really how the team has been, how we all are. And that's how I see we're going to engage in 2023, right? Like I think that we have grit. We're going to push through anything until we succeed. I know in our group, what we're really focused on is leveling up, not doubling down, tripling down, and digging in and getting our elbows dirty, because man, this business is changing so fast. And if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting, and we're moving forward. So super excited.
Well done.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, this is a good one. These are my pictures. Well, I got to keep it together. There is so much that I'm proud of from these pictures. Actually, it was our literally living out the engagement, the word of the year for 23. That took shape from these photos. So on the right-hand side, you see actually our agency owners, a leadership meeting we did before a live event in Iowa. You know, imagine that, of all places, Iowa was a place that we were able to get a few hundred people. And so our leaders engaging, pulling together, seeing how much potential that lies within them. And then seeing it, because I was side stage at that left-hand picture, and to see all of our leaders, you know, conducting panels, for them being able to pour out their hearts, for them being able to pour into the lives of the people in the audience, that was just something that I was just so grateful for, which when I'm looking at 23, that's what we're going to do more of. We're going to do more engagement because there's more people out there, just like all of us on this call, like you guys listening. We got a few thousand people on here. There's people that need really the impact that we deliver, and we've seen it. So I want to probably talk about those lessons that from 2022. Something that has been in kind of the media cycle these days is really talking about the word inflation. And so I don't know if you guys know what the word inflation, or how it affects the dollar. Essentially, you guys know how your dollar may be buying less today than it was a year ago. And when we talk about some of those pressures that affect it, well, that's the same thing that happens in our leadership ability, like our ability to make an impact. And if you are not working against inflationary pressures, so for instance, this is not the economic value of it, but it's the leader value. If you're not working on growing yourself, Kishon, if you're not working on innovating, staying at pace with innovation, with technology, with products, the attention of, the market. If you're not staying at pace, you're being left behind. And your ability as a leader diminishes. And so that's, for me, looking at how did I not keep pace? How can I keep pace? And how am I going to in the future? And when I look at that, I just think that we've got a lot of opportunity, and we're looking to unlock it. So we're just grateful to be able to share these two photos here of just these beautiful people
and the ways that they've given. And just one quick what I'm grateful for from 22 is 11 years of marriage with my wife. So that's my gratitude from 22. So appreciate you guys.
Done, buddy.
Well done, buddy.
Appreciate you, man.
My turn, huh? It was hard actually to pick the pictures that were the most meaningful because there's so much that happened in 2022. It was actually, I mean, a lot of you guys know, it was a very unique year for me. And there's a lot of lessons that I took away. I guess before I tell you what they are, let me set the stage with, there's a lot of people on this call that had a lot of loss and a lot of shift that had to happen and some reinvention of your identity and all that kind of stuff that happens when you have a big loss or failures or closing businesses or whatever else. And to reinvent yourself is pretty hard to do. There was a lot of great things that also happened at the same time. Traveled a lot, went to a lot of great places. We had growth in our team. But I think that the things that were the most meaningful, which I think was the purpose of these pictures, that one on the left, it was hard to pick a picture because it was really, that conference was so meaningful for me. It was by far the most emotional conference that I've ever been to and ever been a part of. And that picture, I've looked at that picture a lot, and just the emotion that was in that room at that moment when the lights went out and the moment of silence for not just Matt, but Jimmy Spieldinner and Terry Garvey too. It told me how much these people meant to you guys and to everyone in that room, to take the time with 4,000 or 5,000 people to honor them. And it really, when something like that happens, it made me realize that the importance of having a clear vision and knowing where you're going and why you're doing it is so important. I spent 9 months after Matt passed away not really knowing where I was going and why I was doing it and what my life was going to look like and why, who I was going to be. And you find yourself, and I've been there before, just not in that way, but there's a lot of people that in this call that have been there before where you don't have a clear vision, you don't know where you're going and why you're even doing it. And every day you find yourself like trying to find the motivation and trying to figure out why I'm doing this. And once you can find that, once you know where you're going and why you're doing it and why it's so important to you, it's not about the money. It's not about just the things for selfish reasons. It becomes so much bigger, and you don't have to find the motivation anymore. And you know what? It can actually get really exciting. I'm really excited about where we're going this year because I've spent months clarifying what I want and what's important to me and what is important to me. I guess lessons learned. Clarity is what I'm after this year. Simplification. And the biggest lesson for me is that your pain can become your purpose. It can become what drives you. And that's what's driving me right now in this year. And I guess, what was the next question? Not just a lesson learned, but what are you most proud of and most grateful for? The most thing I'm the most grateful for is the relationships, which is why I chose that picture on the right. Not just, that's my parents, that's my wife, one of my 3 kids, that's one of Matt's, the one on the left is Matt's daughter, Addie. And the relationships for me to get through what I went through and the team, I mean, my leaders, you guys, you're who I'm most proud of. The leaders of my team, just what you said, Brandon, all the challenges, and you guys stepped up and ended the year way ahead of what anyone would have expected, our team. So I guess that's what I'm most proud of, that embracing the struggle and pushing through in spite of it, because it's not just what we do, it's who we are. And you said it, Casey, it's community, common unity. That to me is what brings us together, that we
we push through adversity, and we don't struggle through it. We don't just survive at the end. We come out so much stronger. And that's what I'm proud of. How will I engage? We're bringing our leaders together in a couple weeks in Orlando. We're renting a mansion, and we're calling it Mastermind Mansion. I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be awesome. It's our 120s getting together, and it's the unity, it's the relationships. Brian Williamson, you're man, I'm grateful for you. You're putting a lot of time and effort into helping us with that, and just mapping out the year and being really intentional again about what we're trying to accomplish and how we're going to get there. And that clarity, if you can have that in your own business and in your own life. I said at the very beginning before everyone was when everyone's getting on the call, just having that clarity. I think about all the anxiety and the stresses and the frustration that I have in my life, and it's usually the things that I'm avoiding, strategically avoiding, the things that I feel like maybe are out of my control, or things I just don't like, or the things I put off and someday I'll get to them. And this is the time right now. I'm putting it all out there. I'm getting it all on the table and simplifying. I'm subtracting more than I'm adding, and really putting focus on the things that matter. So that's what I would say. That's my answer.
It was a really good one. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Right.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Excited. Janet Matthews.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No one else got the memo about dressing up, right, Case?
So we have fun, we get stuff done. That's our motto going into 2023 still.
Yeah.
Yeah, direct to Symmetry by way of Kevin Purdy and Will Watkins.
We're first of all grateful. You know, Brandon, Casey, Brian, you guys manage to pull off a Charles Darwin all the time. You know, with it's not the strongest or the smartest, but those most capable of adapting that survive and I would say thrive. So you know, we're grateful for what you guys have done. I mean, you guys threw a lot out at us and gave us a lot of the credit, but you know, you guys modeled it from the very beginning, and we're grateful for that. We chose this picture because it's anything but about us. You know, the blue jacket here, and you know, up with other Blue Jacket Award winners, they'll be the first one to agree with this. It's, you know, while we were the ones that actually, you know, received these jackets, you know, it's so important to realize that each one of us realize that every thread that makes up that jacket is symbolic of every agent, every staff member in our agencies, and it represents their hard work and their commitments. And the fabric is forever bonded together by the amazing Symmetry culture. And so we were grateful to have been and honored to have received that award. But we want to make sure that that's credit to the team. And so that's all we got on that. With Janet, anything you want to add to that before we go into the?
And it's representative of the self-development we went through and had to go through in order to lead our team. So we're grateful for all the tools that Symmetry provides to allow us to grow into better people.
Biggest business or life lesson learned, I would have to say to never you know, take for granted nor underestimate the power of full engagement. You know, relationships. Personally, I can share that whether it's just taking my foot off the gas after 8 hard years of full on, or it was some kind of misguided entitlement. You know, not being that person who was engaged with the agents like I should have been this year, or at least for part of the year. I would say that, you know, in this business, the need for full engagement is right up there with the need for food and water. It's that critical. And so I think that, you know, when you look at what does it take for full engagement, first of all, having the book and having the author talking is going to help us with the four things that we all have to go through when we're going to try to fully adopt something, and full engagement is that important in this business, that I think that the first thing is awareness and acceptance, right? And I think we're going to get a lot of that by reading the book and understanding that the pay it forward concept that is here, that we all endeavor upon, has been modeled for us. And so just simply do that. But it certainly helps if we can have some awareness, some acceptance, some integration, and then put in the work with execution. And that's where Janet and I realized that that's something that we're going to really focus on. So Janet, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, so wow, super proud of our team in 2022. Grateful for the owners and founders of Symmetry to create a system that we can follow. It's simple, it's not always easy, but through that adversity and challenges is where we grow the most. So we're grateful for not only the accomplishments and the wins, but also for the uncomfortable times where we have to really look in the mirror and really take a look at who we are. So we're so proud unequivocally of our team, because of the bonds, the relationships that we created, the culture, the camaraderie, I mean, and the fun that we had. And in 2022 we witnessed 5 new agency owners: Harrison Zipkin, Raquel, Misty Hutton, Teresa Sackman, Jonathan Daly. Add that to our own agency owners from previous years: Jamie Satterfield, Paul Vine, Tom Deutsch, and Scott and Don Forehand. So grateful. And I think that it's not just like I mentioned, the fun that we've had, but it's learning from each other. Without each other, without our agents, we can never learn to become a better version of ourselves.
How will we engage in 2023? We've honestly, it's really cool to see so many of the agents self-select for a weekly engagement and accountability meeting. They've come to us for that, and so we're scheduling 30 minutes each week to review their commitments, their progress, their KPIs, and any adjustments that need to be made. There are limited openings for these weekly meetings, so the hungry and committed ones are scoffing up those time slots. For us, it's like the importance of this is like painting yourself into the corner, and for them, it's like a path to liberation. And so this forces us to step up and support those who crave growth, and ultimately help them break through any self-imposed barriers, right? That then help them get to the next level. We're also going to be focused on FIF resets in the advanced markets and the basics and base hits. And
we're going to do all this with focus, intentionality, purpose, and engagement. That's how we'll do it. Thank you.
Love it. Well done. Well said, guys. Definitely the best dressed of the day.
Yes.
One's mine. Okay, so on the left picture, this is something that just reminded me of what Symmetry has given, and that is also relationships, as I mentioned before. But not only that, it has provided an opportunity to get a home that we have always dreamed of having, to where we could have the agents come and spend time with us, and we can take them to our favorite restaurant, which is the Hive there, as you can see, and just get to interact with our kids and our family, and just have that get to know you time with them. And it's just been a huge blessing. We have just been super excited to be able to do that. And you could see here we're enjoying a meal together, and many laughs for sure. On the right is one of the best moments in my life, and that was accepting the advisory board, and this is the initiation, if you want to say that, dinner. And it was just, it's such an honor to be able to speak or have a voice for the agents for this company, It really is something extra special that I feel that has been given to me. And in that picture, you'll see that I am hugging Danny Young. For those that don't know him, you need to know him. He is one of the wisest, and he's going to probably get after me for saying all this, but he's one of the wisest and best men that you could ever know. And he has changed my life and has shown me that I belong here. And I'm super grateful for him and for Sandy for being in my life and for changing me to be a better person. And if you have the opportunity to go on some of these trips, it's like a 9-to-5 job that he has sitting at his table in the corner the entire trip, willing to give you advice. And that's all part of that picture there of when I established that relationship with Danny in that moment, and that we're still able to foster that now. So as far as the lessons learned, I personally learned that a changed mind is a changed life. And it's our choice if we want to feed into the negative or foster the positive. And that was what I had to determine this year, is where did I want to put my choices? Did I want to put them into the negative or foster my positive choices? I also had to learn how to settle into my uniqueness, just who I am, and allow myself to be that. So it was a big lesson for me. What I'm grateful for, obviously, for the opportunity to be here, for our master agency, for everything that they have done to just help Mike and I. And also, I'm grateful for Mike, my husband, in the partnership that we've grown together in this business. But I'm most grateful for, I'm super excited about, is Symmetry has given us time back to spend with our kids. And for our 20th anniversary this year, we're going to be able to go to New Zealand, which is has been on our list since before the girls were born, and we're going to be able to go. I'm super excited. I'll have to share some pictures, but that is what I'm grateful for, is for Symmetry for offering that opportunity for us to get there. How will we engage in 2023? Well, we have an executive team meeting that is meeting next week to set up our goals and just what we want to accomplish for the year. And then also I just want to engage by giving ourselves permission to be led and coached by the owners and the leaders of this company, to see the expertise and the vision that they have and just take it and go with it, and encourage everyone in the path to do the same. I know, we have ups and downs, but if we stay focused together in that community that Casey was talking about, we can do great things for this company. And then obviously the same with, jumping on board with this new social media and the book and the contest competitions, the conferences, everything, just being fully engaged in it and allowing our agents to see our excitement and also to get them participating and excited about it as well. So that is, in a nutshell, everything.
Well done,
Jen.
Love it. Engagement means something a little differently to some of us, doesn't it? And I also think the world is a better place because you were born 24 years ago. How old are you, Hemi?
28. Today is
28
birthday.
today. 28 years ago today.
Yeah.
You'll always be 23 or 24 to me in my eyes, yes, but happy birthday, buddy.
Appreciate it, man. I'll be quick because I mean you hit it on the nose, Brandon, in the sense that like time flies. And that's literally what I've realized, is that everyone always says it, but truly operate with a level of urgency that you got one life to live, because I feel like I blinked and now I'm 28. I've been here for 7 years. Like it moves so fast. And I'll never forget one of the other lessons, Brian Delaney, during Jen, you hit it during that little speech, and like in inducting into the agents advisory board, Brian Delaney said, care enough to grow this company that we worked off our butts for. This is not a gift. You were chosen to be here, and we expect you to perform better than we did. And I've never forgot that. I have that written everywhere for myself every single day. What am I most proud of? On the right, start there, is actually, I'll start with the left. It's this team, because they have worked with me, taught me, grown with me, put up with me at times for just being a 21-year-old kid that was stocking boxes. And, essentially everything I've ever done here has been my first rodeo. I've had to figure out everything. But I hit a major life goal. Back in 2021, Anna told me we were sitting at about, back then it was 120% in our new contract. And I'd been stuck there for almost like 2 years. And she said, hey, just don't worry about the next steps of where we're going. Just go hit the top contract level. And after do that, we can think about the next phase. And basically a full year after that point that she told me it, we hit 120, the top level contract, because of the team on the left. They pushed, they knew what we wanted. They knew where we're going, and they just lived it up. And so I'll be forever grateful for Tom Laws, Dan Diane, Jamie Hinckley, Kim Bogdan, Frank Cornell, just all you guys that have done everything, Ben Doak. So appreciate you all. And lastly, what will I engage in 2023? How does it look like to me? Well, I drummed up a rule of 5, Casey. So greater focus of the organization. The rule of 5 looks like this. Number 1, leadership by example. I'm going to be the type of person that my agents want to follow, my peers and friends and family admire. Number 2, I'm going to ask myself every single day, who did I equip? Because our entire business is built. If you want to go to become an agency director, there's got to be an agency owner that fills your seat. So we need to take that down to the bottom level. It's not about just doing everything yourself. If you're a team leader, going to key leader, who's filling your seat as team leader? If you're going key leader to AO, who's filling your seat as key leader? Number 3, greater focus on activity. It's about how many people we got to see, not just racking up the leaderboard on how many appointments you got. Number 4 is, who did I hire and who did I help become a new writer? Just like Tyler has always said, and I've been taking this, buddy, it is DEFCON red until that agent gets that new commission, that first commission check, and that belief skyrockets. So it's not just about putting apps up, it's about getting them issued, getting them SBLI as fast as possible, because we notice drastic changes in profitability leaning into just SBLI, written today, paid tomorrow. And the last one, number 5, how did I grow today? Well, what conversation did I have with somebody who's making more money in the business than I am? What challenging conversation did I maybe need to digest and actually get some insight on? What did I read? What podcast am I listening to? Just really owning up and learning that this business and this life, you're going to be forever growing. So don't think you're there yet.
Love that, buddy.
Well said, buddy.
Yeah, man. Proud of you. Oh, no, this one belongs to.
Well, I sent Joe 15 pictures. So maybe my lesson should be I should slow down and read my text messages. So I was like so curious at what 2 pictures he was going to choose for me. So this is awesome. Brandon and I got to experience an awesome weekend in South Beach, Florida there for Air's birthday, which was such a fun weekend. Because I was blown away at how just awesome Miami was and how awesome all the people were. It was just so nice to get away with just my husband for a couple of days. So that was pretty special. And then the one on the right, we were at a fundraiser event for Chow Chow, dressed in our all black. It's so funny. I sent her this picture because we just had our colors done. And I was like, damn, babe, we can still wear black. We're still wearing it. We can still wear black. Look how good we look. Right. So, but
Heather's shaking her head right now.
Heather's like, oh God. So that's okay. I got my lipstick on. And I, just the walk, Whit is walking in now. I love that was one of the pictures he chose for me. Just she's just kind of blown us all away the last quarter. And so I'll go fast on biggest lessons. God, there seem to be a lot of them in 2022. But again, I think for me, my continued lesson in unattachment, and really just being in the moment of what is and not what used to be or what I hope the future might be, but just really allowing what is and the beautifulness of letting go to some things. So unattachment for me is a great lesson of 2022. Most grateful, it's always a hard one. Brandon mentioned it, and it's deeper than the fact that we built and moved into our house. It's that I finally feel home. I finally feel home and connected in a place that feels rooted into where we've been dreaming about for 20 years. So feeling at home feels very grateful. How will I engage? I did this one a little different for me. I think a lot of you hit on it, but I'm going to engage and really lean into gazing inward before committing outward, and just gazing in to see what my yeses are. And when there's a yes, let's go. Let's go for it. And I'm trying to live from a very honest place and being honest. I think one of my gifts is I see and understand paradox well. I see a lot of sides of the stories, but I also have gut feelings of what I feel like is my truth and being okay with that, and speaking from that place and knowing it doesn't mean I'm right, but it is my truth. And so I hope to engage more that way in 2023. So thank you.
Well done. Okay.
Oh, God, he did put more in my pictures.
Oh, look at
that. Look at us. Y'all playing guitar and banjo. That was a good night. Then the family, that was at Kiowa. I really hope he didn't include all 15 pictures on here.
I might. Let's see.
Oh, God. Okay, good.
We'll look at those later, babe.
Yeah. Jacob closing us out?
I think so.
Oh, perfect. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. You're frozen up, though.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, no.
We can hear you, though.
I'll try to move. There's a delay. Okay, cool. Man, great gratitude is just, it does do it justice with what company done for us.
You're too choppy, Jacob.
Started pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does anybody understand robot?
You find like you got a cell phone tower in sight?
I understood it.
We need a translator, Hemi.
He said he's just so proud of Andrew and everything.
That's what I heard. Just making sure.
No, that's still no good, dude.
We'll have to start off maybe next week.
We'll catch you up next week. We've already went over our time. Certainly grateful for Jacob Pogue, though. That's for dang sure.
I'm very grateful.
Had a stellar year. We got some really good texts to close out the year from Jacob and what his team is doing. And yeah, man, awesome stuff.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, Happy New Year's. It's going to be a really, really good one. Thank you for everybody that stood with us to the end of the call. 20 minutes late.
Had a lot to come in. It was good.
Good one next week. So we'll see you next week, and it will be a little abbreviated compared to this. So
let's go engage, guys.
Yep.
Thank you all.
See you guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We need some balloons or something. Hemi, where were you on that one?